Hello, and thank you for attending the February Advisors webinar, Learning into Action, RLA Implementation. My name is Veronica Moore, and I serve the fraternity as the Director of Educational Programs. Before we begin, I find it helpful to share a little bit about myself. I am originally from Chicago, Illinois, and I obtained my bachelor's degree from Carthage College and my master's of science in college student personnel from Western Illinois University. I have over 10 years of experience in higher education, and prior to my official role as the Director of Educational Programs for Delta Upsilon, I served the fraternity as a volunteer for 4.5 years in the capacity of a facilitator for both RLA and Delta Upsilon's Leadership Institute. Providing resources for college students to develop their leadership skills has always been a passion of mine, and I'm truly excited to be able to continue this work through Delta Upsilon. Now on to the purpose of this webinar. Each year, Delta Upsilon hosts 5 regional leadership academies in the month of February: RLA Great Plains, Midwest, Northeast, South, and West. The gatherings provide training opportunities for all 8 executive board positions of Delta Upsilon's undergraduate chapters and colonies. Outside of the training opportunities provided, the undergraduate men also have the unique opportunity to meet and share ideas with brothers from other parts of the United States and Canada. The undergraduate men also get to spend time with alumni members who graciously volunteer their time and talent in helping to facilitate materials and topics throughout the weekend. The information received by the undergraduate leadership at each RLA can be a huge asset to the chapter overall. Many students use the time at RLA to think deeply and critically about the state of their chapters and colonies and ways to improve them. The topics are diverse in nature and, again, specific to the key roles and responsibilities for each position. The RLA experience is within a format where the themes build upon each other. Each day, participants attend general sessions as a collective group that discuss topics such as application of the 4 founding principles in chapter operations, their DU experience, and how the concept of brotherhood plays out in the actions of members within the chapter. These general sessions are followed by different breakout sessions throughout the day. Outside of the officer-specific workshop, each RLA features the following sessions: Civic Engagement and the Global Service Initiative. This session asks the question, what does it mean to be an active citizen? And how do we engage with our community on a local, national, and international level? Through the lens of the Global Service Initiative, the session discusses the importance of being a global citizen and service, as well as how to better promote and engage in GSI philanthropy and service projects. To text or not to text, effective communication. Should I text him, email, or talk to him? The session identifies and discusses the different ways in which we communicate, including tips on how to give and receive feedback and how to handle the multiple communication styles of members. Sexual assault prevention. This session helps members understand the nature of sexual assault problems on campus, while also providing participants with tangible steps for creating a safer environment within the chapter and around campus. Effective facilitation. Participants learn techniques and tricks of effective facilitation to ensure that their members are getting the most out of the programs that are being provided. Managing conflict. This session provides participants with skills necessary to handle challenging situations within their chapter or colony. And also developing and mentoring the next generation. The session helps participants identify ways to mentor and develop emerging leaders within their group into the next generation of chapter officers and committee chairs. A very important takeaway from the entire experience is the task of creating a plan of action that addresses a particular priority, problem or issue in the chapter or colony, called the RLA Chapter Challenge. Each chapter or colony is asked to identify what they have learned at RLA that will assist them in doing so. They are all asked the following questions. What is a key priority for the chapter or colony? Why is it a priority, and what is creating this need? What have chapter members or colony members learned at RLA that will help them address this priority? What is the plan for implementation, and how will this plan be articulated to others? This is an area that you as advisors can play a huge role in helping to implement. The participants are given a good amount of time of working on their plans while on site. The fine-tuning should happen upon their return. This process of developing the chapter plan can also lead to goal setting to refer back to throughout the year. We truly hope as advisors that you will assist in the implementation of their plans, because doing so will allow for a sense of accountability to be instilled in the men to put into action what they've learned while on site. There are a few other points that will be helpful to follow up with chapter members on. Associate member education. This is the first year of full implementation of the plan for all Delta Upsilon chapters. During the session, we discussed an overview and highlights of the associate member program. It will be important that chapter members fully understand the program details and the individual part they play in ensuring that the associate members of their chapter have a beneficial orientation into their Delta Upsilon experience. The topic of sexual assault should also be a follow-up discussion for not only those in attendance, but for the entire chapter. I had the opportunity of facilitating this session while on site for the Northeast RLA, and the participants were really engaged in the content. They seemed to have an understanding of the definition of and their role in preventing sexual assault. During the session, we discussed ways to ensure that this education reached the chapter and the fraternity and sorority community at large on their respective campuses. Seeing that many of the participants attending sessions that are applicable to their position on the executive board, it would be valuable to set up a meeting with those who attended and ask for a report on what they learned and how they will utilize the information in the upcoming year. Having this information also allows for follow-up throughout their term. And if those who attended happen to not serve in an executive board position, it will be beneficial to ask them how they believe the information will be useful to them as they explore opportunities for leadership in the future. And lastly, upon return, the executive board and others who were in attendance should consider the time to provide a report during an upcoming chapter meeting so that members can hear and understand their role in ensuring that the chapter or colony is successful. RLA provides a great opportunity to reset or redirect how a chapter is functioning. We realize that much of what is learned on site can only be beneficial if they reflect on it throughout the year. We're grateful for the role that you serve in holding the undergraduate men accountable for their leadership. We always welcome the opportunity for alumni and advisors to attend each RLA session with their chapters that Delta Upsilon hosts. Your presence at this event is valuable and allows chapters to see the commitment and relationship of alumni in a positive way. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share the RLA experience with you. I will now address the questions that were submitted by those who are participating in this webinar. Can you speak about advisors' workshops at RLA? This year, a survey was sent out to gauge the interest in an advisor session happening at one of the RLAs. The information gathered during this survey will be used to design what future sessions specifically for advisors will be included at future RLAs next year. More information about this initiative can be obtained by contacting Michelle Marchand, the Senior Director of Chapter Development. Are there sessions that speak specifically on alcohol use? Currently, there is no session that focuses solely on alcohol issues with attendees. If you have specific feedback on the topic, you can share it with Noah Borton, Senior Director of Educational Programs, and myself, as we will be discussing and planning what sessions and information will be delivered at RLA next year. Why is Delta Upsilon specifically positioned to address sexual assault prevention? As an organization focused on men's development in college, it's important that we prepare the men with how to address issues that they face on campus, and sexual assault is one of those issues. The discussions that take place at RLA is just one of the ways that we fulfill this obligation of making sure that they are prepared to handle these issues. And it's also important to continue the conversation through chapter discussions and training. So that's one of the tidbits of information that we did give to the participants who attended the sexual assault prevention training. Specific conversations held around what are the campus resources and how can Delta Upsilon also provide support and training in the area of sexual assault prevention. What are the sessions offered for each position at RLA? There is a recruitment track that happens throughout all of the breakout sessions, all 5 of those sessions throughout the weekend that those who are working on recruitment attend. There is a president session that talks about the skills and responsibilities needed to focus on being a successful chapter president. There is the vice president of external relations session that talks about building a bridge between the chapter and external constituents and communities. They also talk about ways to create a well-balanced and successful calendar of activities for the chapter. There's the Vice President of Finance session that addresses the steps of budgeting to collections and record keeping. There's the Vice President of Excellence session that discusses tactics for connecting members with the academic resources and guidance and structure they need to excel in the classroom. There's the Vice President of Loss Prevention session that talks about how to conduct an effective loss prevention program in the chapter. The Vice President of Education session talks about the Associate Member Education Program, and it also addresses everything that that position needs to know on how to implement that program. There is the Vice President of Administration session that walks through the steps for effective chapter record keeping and reporting, and it also reviews the key responsibilities for the position and outlines methods for creating greater efficiency and sustainability in chapter operations. There's a session that is focused on standard board and member accountability. The session provides guidance on how to actually create and or enhance the standards board and accountability efforts within the chapter and colony. And then there's a session that is specific to roadmap of success for the CEP and Men of Merit implementation. The session is designed to ensure that each chapter is operationally sound and rooted in the 4 founding principles, and it also shares tips and information on how to use the CEP to its maximum effectiveness. Those are all of the questions that were submitted. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity to share a brief overview of the educational offering that is present at each of the RLA sessions this month of February. If you have specific questions on the RLA experience, feel free to reach out to myself. My contact information is on the screen, and you can also reach out to Noah Borton, who is the Senior Director of Educational Programs as well. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day.